Howdy friends, back with another Diablo 2 video. This time I want to talk about online versus offline play. This is something that comes up quite a bit talking with friends and some of the viewers out there. A lot of people ask me, why do I play single player or why do I play online in certain scenarios? And I kind of just wanted to make a brief video to talk about some of the pros and cons to playing online, in my opinion, and playing offline. Again, this is all my own opinion. Let me know along the way if you guys agree or if you guys disagree. Why should you play online or offline? I'm going to start with a pros list for why you should play online. So this is going to be ladder and non-ladder game modes. So first off, there is an active community out there. If you are into the social aspect of things, it's really nice to be able to log on, have some of your friends play in your games, and really just kind of have that community aspect to it of seeing other people out there, other games. Sometimes it's you know, sometimes it gets lonely out there. So that's going to be a really big bonus to actually playing online. That's kind of a no-brainer, but I always think it is more valuable to play with other people than not in certain scenarios. The second is going to be kind of building off of that is the idea that you can trade with other people. I think when you do, you know, if you find something really useful, let's say like this character in the background, this is my just a Blizzard source that I run. This is my Magic Find Blizzard source. This is online, by the way. If you find something for your character, let's say like a skiller, like if I found a P-comb, like a paladin skiller, but I really needed some cold skillers, being able to trade with other people is really valuable. It kind of speeds things along. It helps you progress a lot faster in the game, and again, kind of fosters that sense of community that a lot of people like in video games. Next, we have almost like this is geared more towards like the ladder side of things, but there is a competitiveness to it. I think there, you know, if you look on the leaderboards, people who start all the new ladders, although I think we're on ladder 7, 8 right now. I don't know why I completely forgot what ladder we're on, but people do like to have a competitive side to games. So you'll see a lot of streamers. They'll try and do like the first group kill of Bale or something like that, or the first level 99. So there is that cool competitive aspect to this game that you can get in ladder that you're not going to find with single player. Next, we have PvP. This one is actually a side of the game that I haven't really explored a lot, but I know is pretty big, and I know a lot of people enjoy it. So that is, again, this is all building on the fact of this community of people that are out there. So PvP is basically just killing each other. There's different strategies. All of my videos are geared towards Magic Find, PVM, bosses, but when you dive into the PvP side of things, it can be a totally different game in certain scenarios. You have things like low-level dueling, where you have a certain level cap. Mid-level dueling, again, it's a little higher, and then end level. But there's all these different unwritten rules and stuff like that, and nuances to that community that you can really learn about. And I highly recommend checking out, like, you know, Reddit or any of the Diablo 2, you know, I almost said chat rooms, Diablo 2 message board, discussion boards and stuff like that. And let me know down below if you are a PvP player, what are some of the common rules? That's something that I actually am not very familiar with, but I know it is a huge part of the game if you're looking, again, to be more of that competitive side of things. Next, we have characters cross-progress. This was something that was really big that when Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, with the addition of consoles being able to play and run Diablo 2. Previously, it was just a PC game when you had Lord of Destruction, but now if you can basically sign into your account on anything, I have it signed into I have a Switch. I also have a Steam Deck that I was able to boot Diablo 2 with, which is you can basically just install the Blizzard launcher on there, and being able to cross-progress your character from, you know, chilling on the couch, playing with a controller, jumping on your PC and live streaming or playing with some friends. It is really nice to know that I can just log in from wherever and still have access to my characters. And then the ability to scale the next point is the ability to scale the start of a game. So this is what I'm talking specifically about rushes. You can rush someone, so basically you can go get through all the quote unquote boring parts of Diablo 2 if you really just want to try and get to the end game. You know, you might be a little later in the ladder, you want to just start diving right in and start getting gear and start training on a different character to try something out. There are a lot of people that are out there that will be able to help you along the way. There's also group leveling, so if you can just join in, you know, if someone's running Bale runs or Chaos runs, you can really just kind of level your character by being a leech in a lot of cases online. But if you have limited free time to play games like myself in a lot of cases, and like a lot of people that are fans of Diablo 2, the idea of lowering that barrier of entry to the end game is really valuable in a lot of cases. So now let's talk about some of the cons of online. It is what it is. There's going to be bots in the game. Let's just start there. So with that community, the plus side of other people being able to play, there are a lot of bots that will show up in online play. This is more specific to, I would say, more non-ladder, but you do see it sometimes in ladder. People just basically farming gear to try and, setting up these bots to try and farm gear to try and just be the best and essentially take all the fun, in my opinion, out of the gaming experience. Next, kind of leading into that actually is also the idea that there are real money trading websites out there. So if you do like the game for some of the cons that some of the pros that I outlined, like PvP, the competitiveness, that sort of thing, there are people that will start the new ladder with, using real money or using, forum gold or something like that to basically pay to win themselves into the end level gear. It basically is, if you can start off a fresh ladder and in 2 days have an Enigma, in my opinion, that is not something that I'd want to, those are not the people that I'd like to play with. But, don't let that deter you from the overall sense of community. I just wanted to point out that it is something that happens and it is something to be aware of. The next one, this is a super no-brainer, but you need to be online. I know that sounds dumb, but there is some merit to, being able to play something offline. And this is something where if you don't have a stable internet connection or, if your power goes out and you have it on a laptop or something like that, you aren't able to play it. Not a huge deal, but it does happen. Now switching more kind of into the gameplay and away from the community with online, the maps reset. So that's something that a lot of single player or offline characters notice, is that every time you make a new game, the map is reseeded and your progress it goes away. Now there are tips and tricks that you can look up, like for example, if you're trying to find Mephisto, if you take the Durance of Hate level 2 waypoint and the first exit, if you go to the left and then all the way around, you will eventually find the level 3. But if the map keeps having to reset and you're maybe not aware of these things, it can really stretch out some of the more grindier parts of the game if you're trying to farm something online. Then the next point is there's no player scaling for solo player. So if you are someone that like to play on your own schedule, maybe you and your friends don't really sync up, there is a huge benefit in terms of gearing and magic finding to playing with a lot of people. But you can't do it if it's just you by yourself online. In single player, we do have the player's X command, so that is something that you can kind of get away with. So in some cases, the community almost actually, the need for community can sometimes limit those who do want to just play in a single player format. So that's what I have for ladder, online, and stuff like that. Those are my pros and cons. Now I'm going to switch a little bit. I also want to note, so I'm going to give my pros and cons for both, and then I'll go into what I play and why I enjoy it for the reasons that I do. But again, this is all just kind of my opinions and how I see the game. And please let me know if you have a different take or different things that I maybe have missed or left out with online and offline as I'm going through this video. So offline mode, single player, if you will. Let's start with the pros. So this is I like to consider offline. Basically, you can have your I was going to start talking about my save files, but I'll just say that as my first point. You have access to your save files, so you can transfer them between computer. You can carry them on a flash drive so that you can basically save your progress and load it up on different computers to basically maintain where you are. I like to think of this as long game Diablo. So this isn't something that, with the ladders, something that resets off over and over, that you have to be like, oh, okay, new ladder, I got to make a new character, I got to move some stuff off. If you have single player, you can really have some long-term goals out there and basically just come back to the game. If you play a couple different games, if you want to play Diablo for a couple weeks, step away from it for a month and then come back, there isn't that sense of urgency that sometimes ladder can introduce. So this would be things like, I have a Holy Grail run going right now that I do on live stream, so check out, if you check in my profile, I do post when I am streaming the live stream. I'm doing a stream only for the Holy Grail. So basically, I can set these goals for myself where I don't really have a time limit. It's just I can go on, I can play, I can chat with people and just have a good time and with really no end in sight, which is, I know to some, kind of scary, but the part of the game that I enjoy playing is those kind of long goals, that long Diablo experience. Next, which is something that I just mentioned as a con for online, but the maps don't reset. So if you have a really good seed and you're doing some of these long videos, if you've seen a lot of the videos on my channel, if you're doing something like lower Cuirassed runs, which I'm doing right now as part of a separate series, having a really good map seed where you get all 6 super chests is going to be really awesome and really help move your progress along to try and gear for, like, you know, high runes and bases and all that sort of stuff. So those quality of life things of just not having the map clear every single time is really nice. But you can also reset it if you want. You can either delete your map file in your save files, or you can just make a new game if you're playing in Hell, you make a Nightmare game and it'll basically overwrite your map files for Hell. So when you go back, you'll basically have a new seed for the map. Next, we have the player scaling. This is, I think, every single person that you watch that plays Diablo 2 offline will say that the player scaling, if they could introduce player scaling to online, a lot more people would make the switch from offline to online. The ability to be able to set the difficulty of your game not only adds extra goals for yourself, but it allows you to farm more effectively. For these long goals, like farming bosses on Players 3, that is something that, you get better drops, your clear speed is still fast, and you can really control that, but you're still one person. Or if you're doing something like a cow run and you want to set it to Players 7 or Players 8, really to try and push yourself, you can do that. You can basically move the goalposts to wherever you want in the end game so that the game is both exciting and so that you can still have something to reach for. Like for myself, a really cool goal would be if I could make a single player hardcore character that could do Ubers and that could basically beat Bale in Players 8. That's a really cool goal. If you're playing online and you just have the single player, this character right here in the background that is not geared optimally, I was able to beat the game effectively on Players 1 without huge struggles. So it's just a way of kind of moving the goalpost and setting new goals for yourself along the way. Next, no internet needed. This is, again, a sillier one for being called offline, but it is something that, you can truly just boot up if you're on the go, if you don't have internet, if you have, your Switch or a laptop or something like that. You can really play it on the go and wherever you'd like to be, and you don't really need internet. It's not a huge thing, but it is something that I do think is a pro with playing single player or offline. And the last, what I'll call pro for offline, is that it's all on you, so that the sense of accomplishment personally that I get out of getting things like finding gear and stuff like that, it feels a lot better knowing that you hit those goals yourself. I take that for what it is. I know some people are just like, the heck with those goals, I just want to be end game gear, and that's great. But for me personally, I like the grind of Diablo 2. I think is it's what makes the game enjoyable for me, and finding things and hitting milestones just feels that much better when I do it myself. Again, this is all my opinion, but I'd be curious to see if other people feel the same way. So now for another pro to this, since it is all on you, this is something related back to this having access to your save file. You can do things like, I personally don't do this, but you can do things like hero editing. So I know some people, I have done this in the past. I usually don't do it. I basically will have my set of D2 save files, that is like my untouched, pure golden standard save files, but then I will duplicate them if I want to do something like a player editor to try and find or test out new builds. So a great example of this is when the Mosaic Runeword hit came out for Diablo 2. I wasn't really playing at the time, but I wanted to see basically what it was all about. So I was able to hero edit myself a character, try out the Mosaic, and be like, cool, it's OP, I'm never going to play this. And then I was able to delete the save file with no harm, no foul, while maintaining my my gold standard, my gold copy of my regular save file. And a lot of people, I know this is something that is, with a lot of these videos and stuff, if you're doing, loot highlights and builds and stuff like that, it is really hard to prove that you didn't use a hero editor, but I know I didn't use one. I know I don't use it in my main series. So it's really up to, in my opinion, it's really up to, if you want to use it, go for it. However you enjoy the game is how you enjoy the game. Now let's move on to the cons in offline, which there are several. First off, I know the kind of the last big point that I made here before talking about the hero editor was it's all on you. All this sense of accomplishment feels great. You know, you can hit these wild goals by yourself, but that's actually going to be the very first con of playing offline, is that it is all on you. So failures do feel a lot hit a lot harder. If you're gearing up right now, you know, if you're doing a barbarian build and it's just you and that's your only character and you hit a wall where you can't effectively clear anything because you don't have the gear for it, well, that sucks. Now you have to make a new character, like like I have in the background here, like some sort of magic find character that will be able to help you effectively gear. So it is all on you, which is a good thing, but it's all on you in a bad way when it doesn't work out your way. It does make it very hard, and it can be pretty demoralizing to hit these roadblocks when you find out, geez, I just, respect my character and I can't do anything now. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow, but it ultimately is, it's a part of the offline game. It's, it's what you sign up for. And second, transferring characters is possible. Like I said before, you can load your files into a flash drive or something to transfer between computers, but it is a little difficult and it's a little clunky. I've been trying to toy with the idea of being able to boot the save file off of a flash drive, but when you install the game, you have to get into a lot of really technical computery stuff to be able to play the game you want. And for a lot of people, they just want to turn on the game and that's it. So it is really difficult to transfer progress. Like this computer that I record everything on is not the same computer that I play a lot of my other single player on. I play it on a laptop so I can sit on the couch or bring it with me. This one I primarily do for my Holy Grail character or my online characters, or when I'm making videos like this. And then last, for the offline, the grind of the game. It's a lot sometimes. I think the pause is very telling. I think if you are a lifelong Diablo 2 fan, you've been playing this game for a really long time like I have, we've all hit moments where you're like, for example, I would love on my character that I'm running right now, I would love an Infinity. I don't have any of the high runes that are required for it. So the task ahead at times can be a little daunting, and it can be a little like, oh geez, it's a grind. So I think that it does have its positives, like I said, if you like that part of the gameplay, but there definitely are times where you're like, man, I really wish I could just trade someone this stack of awesome gear that I have in my stash. Or if you find a really awesome, small charm or something like that that's worth a high rune online, or if through tradery or something like that. In single player, it's kind of just like, cool, you found that small charm, but your character doesn't need it. And that's really where you have to leave it. So it is a grind. I do understand, and it's why we all play Diablo 2 in a lot of ways. So that's basically everything I have to say about online, ladder, non-ladder, and offline. Pros and cons for each of them. Again, I wanted to hold off my opinions until the end, but I basically do play a mix of both. For single player, I set sort of longer goals for myself, so things like a Holy Grail, or if I have want to do a hardcore character or something like that. But then online, I do participate in the annual ladder, or the cadence of ladders, so that I can try and participate a little bit. I do like that sense of community, but is really dependent on how I'm feeling that day. And I do recommend that people play a little bit of each, just to kind of get two different versions of the same game. You play it a little different. Your play style is going to be slightly different depending on what you are doing. So I'm going to leave this one here. Let me know down below what you guys think about offline, online. Do you like one over the other? Let me know what you think. Do you agree with some of the pros and cons that I listed throughout? Do you have your own pros and cons? I'd love to hear from you guys. If you're enjoying this content, a like would go a long way. And if you're really liking this content and you would consider subscribing, I'm trying to hit my goal of 500 subscribers. I've been meeting a lot of really awesome people, and it's just been a lot of fun making videos about a game that I love. So I'm going to end this one here, and until then, I will see you guys on the next one.